check. Microphone check. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. The Coffee and Biscotti Show. I'm your host, Crew Mel Bellissimo. It is Friday, January the 28th, 12 o'clock EST, and I'm feeling fresh. It's a good day to be alive. I hope that wherever you are on this fine globe, you are doing well and you have a smile on your face. I hope that you've had a great week. It's a crazy one. Lots of talk in the news this week about being here in Ottawa and this truck convoy. I've heard things like this convoy 70 kilometers. Then I heard 300 miles long of trucks that are coming to protest the government so that they will change the mandate at the border crossings so that you do not have to be vaccinated to cross the border. So much talk of this stuff. I'm not a political guy, even though my mother, when I was a kid, said, "Man, you talk a lot. You should probably be a politician." You know, I have to say that I'm not really a political guy, but I am interested, and I don't know. I'm kind of torn. You know, here's how I wanted to start today. There was a story I was told about the people of Iceland, and I don't know if it was 10 years ago or 11 or whatever. That the people of Iceland went to the government building and basically said, "It's time for you, Mr. Prime Minister, President, whatever they have, to get out." And he did, because the people had spoken and they said, "We don't believe in what you're doing. We don't believe that you're doing the best for our country, for our little country of Iceland." So they said, "You're out of here." And I like that. I think that that's powerful. Now, what's important to note is it was very peaceful. There was no, from what I understand, there was no violence. It was done very, very peacefully. So what I'm hoping is that at least for what it's worth, that this weekend is peaceful. I like people sort of, you know, I'll use the term loosely, fighting against or fighting back against the government. I think that's important. I think that there is something to say. I think that things have changed because of it. I'm sure there's many stories of in the world of years past where people stood up and things were changed. That, you know, you talk about the metaphysical students and physicians call it the collective consciousness, and the more collective they have, the more change they make. So, needless to say, it's a big day for that, as tomorrow all the trucks arrive here in Ottawa. So I'm hoping and sending certainly some peaceful energy to Ottawa and to downtown Ottawa as all the trucks come in. It's a good day to be alive. It's been a pretty cold winter here in Ottawa, coldest I've ever experienced. And but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about myself, my life, and I hope that you're feeling good about your life. And if not, that's okay, because that just means that there's opportunity for change and opportunity to change behaviors. Want to welcome Poutine Nation in the house. My boy, Josh Leslie. Josh, always a pleasure and an honor to have you here. You are, I say this every week, everybody should have a Josh Leslie in their life. This week's show is brought to you by Team Wolfpack. Of course it is. Team Wolfpack, an online community of heart-centered business leaders that practice Muay Thai 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And we challenge each other and we keep each other accountable and we do business together. And it's an awesome group of people. I'm super proud of that community. So if you know somebody, a gentleman that is a heart-centered business leader, entrepreneur, successful businessman, make sure to have them check out Team Wolfpack. I got a great show for you today because, again, man, I'm really blessed. I get to do this show. I could say whatever I want, and what I love about it is that, as I was explaining to our guest backstage today, this show, as I say every week, is about passion and transformation. And with everything that I just talked about at the beginning about protesting and all this other stuff, it's really nice to have a platform where I get to talk to people who are passionate, who have made some difficult transitions and transformations in their life, because I want positivity to enter the world. And in having this show, we create positivity. So all of you that are watching, the taped recording, this is about sharing positivity. My guest has an incredible story for you today, and I want to talk about him for a minute. So, another wonderful connection from Bernie, who is just an awesome human being. Thank you, Bernie, for introducing me to this gentleman. This is the kind of guy that if we were together, if we were closer together, we'd be hanging. You understand what I'm saying? Me and this guy, this is like I would call him and say, "What's up, bro? What's happening, my man or my boy?" What's like that's what I would say when I call him on the phone. And I'll tell you why. My entire life, I've always felt that this journey is about developing something called wisdom. And wisdom is part of an equation that I always use, that wisdom is knowledge experienced. And I've always been after the experience. I'll try anything once, even jumping out of a plane. And what I love about my guest today is he's one of those guys, man. And on top of it, and I don't know, ladies, I haven't asked if he's single, but I kind of think he's single, and he's kind of handsome. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time. So here's the thing. This guy, former police officer, former CrossFit gym owner, father, entrepreneur, coach, life student. This guy is one of those amazing guys that you only hope you bump into in your life. You hope that you bump into, rub shoulders with a guy like this, because this guy's going to bring some sunshine in your life. That's what this guy does. He immediately, when we connected on the phone, it was like having a ray of sunshine on the phone. And it's kind of funny because we're zooming to Palm Beach, Florida today. Did I say that right? Shit, I hope it's Palm Beach. Yes, it's Palm Beach. Yes. You understand? This is about sunshine. This is about putting out in the world some positive vibes. This is about going through life, rolling with the punches. You know, doing multiple things in your life so that you can gain wisdom. And my friends, I'm sure that it will be easy to recognize the level of wisdom that this man has. I'm honored to call him my friend. He is a first-class guy. So wherever you are in the world, my friends, without further ado, put your hands together. Get off of your comfortable seat and put your hands together for Mr. Jonathon Galui.
Hey,
Crowd goes wild.
wow, man. Like, can you just pick up the mic and drop it for me? Like, holy smokes. I don't even know what to say. Like, I
A
got
little
goosebumps,
red?
man.
A little red?
Yeah, red.
Yes.
I feel like goosebumps are even better than red.
Nice.
We're gonna put you in the middle of a ring. You're gonna be the next WWE, heavyweight title announcer.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen,
I love it.
Jonathan, what an absolute pleasure to have you. You're such an awesome guy. I really wish you were closer. So I'll just have to go to Florida and come visit you.
Yeah, I'll come up that way, but not when it's snowing. So don't hold your breath.
Note to self, Jonathan's not coming during the snow.
No, sir.
I feel
Yeah,
you,
but no,
brother.
come on down. It's beautiful down here.
No kidding. No kidding. Well, first of all, Jonathan, I just want to say what an absolute pleasure it is to have you. Thank you so much for taking 90 minutes out of your time. I know you're a busy guy, and I'm just super grateful that you took the time to be with me and to be with all those watching today. I'm sure the ladies are going to have a good time staring at your face for the next 90 minutes because I've heard backstage that you are going to be doing some. Is that a secret thing yet? Is it with the gray hair? Remember we talked about the
Oh,
gray
yeah,
hair?
yeah, yeah. So I was given the direction by a close friend to be a gray hair model. And so, you know what? Sometimes you just got to take what God gives you, embrace it. I don't have my beard, but my beard's gray too. So I got some good things lined up in the future, right? Gray hair model, future Santa Claus, maybe in about 20, 30 years. I hold everything, with an open hand. So,
Oh, that's
you know
awesome.
what? I'm not above or below anything, my friend. And based off of your introduction, I'll try everything twice. Not one,
Ah,
twice.
love it. Love it. Absolutely, my friend. Well, listen, I want to say that getting to know you has been a real joy for me.
Same here.
I feel very blessed that I get to meet some really cool people on the planet, and in my career, I can certainly say that I've been very blessed in that. Um, so many times I've met some really cool people. I've had the pleasure of training with some of the greatest martial artists on the planet, and adding you to the list is just something that is super exciting for me, because I have this funny feeling, Jonathan, that we will collaborate somewhere, somehow, and we will be doing something together because you're just that amazing of a guy. So thank you again.
Wow. The pleasure's all mine. Thank you. I mean, wow, very humbling. I know some of the people that you've been able to interact with. So to put me up there anywhere in that same sentence, or like, that's just, I can't express it in words. And I do want to thank Bernie, because Bernie is one of those men as well. He's amazing, and thank you for connecting us. I have to throw that out as well. But wow, thank you.
So the way that I like to start the show, Jonathan, is that I really want the audience, everybody in the Twitchyverse, to sort of know, like, who is there. Crew Mel comes on, talks about this amazing guy. Let's know about this amazing guy. So, like I said, paint us a picture. Go as far and as deep as you want to go, and just let us know who this amazing guy Jonathan really is.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. So I wasn't always this way, right? I I had a really good childhood, but it was tough. I had both my mother and father, and they're still married to this day, but they were in a toxic relationship, still are. And I'm one of three children, and I'm the middle child, and I check every single middle child, stigma or box that you can think of. I am that middle child, but grew up, and things seemed great on the outside, but on the inside, I was never ever comfortable in my skin. I was never comfortable in my surroundings. I played sports, you name it. I was on a field, from baseball to basketball, football, golf, you name it. I was an athlete. Um, and that was a blessing and a curse at the same time. So, my dad was always pushing me, and it was great, but it was unhealthy. It was unhealthy at the amount of, pressure I was put on me to succeed or to, make something of myself, to make it to the major leagues. And, you know, I just went through life for a very long time, checking off all the boxes, right? Go to school, check. Get good grades or good enough to pass, check. Right? Go to college, get a degree. I didn't get one, I got two, right? Get a job, get married, have kids. Check, 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 check. Did it all. And I was miserable. Man, I was miserable the whole entire way because I wasn't living my truth. I wasn't living who I was created to be. I was stuck in the shadow of my father, who was stuck in the shadow of his father, who was stuck in the shadow of his father. And my father loves me. I don't deny that. I don't doubt that. And I'm not downplaying because I know there's a lot of, men and women that don't have their father or their mother in their life. And, my heart goes out to you. But this journey is your journey. And if you're a parent, your kid's journey is their journey. And if you're putting your will or your insecurities or your doubt or fear onto them, that's not fair to them. And I had to realize that when I had kids, because I started doing the same thing my dad was doing to me. But I'm blessed to have the internet, and I'm blessed to have people like you around that knowledge is at our fingertips. So, just going back, again, I played sports. I ended up going to college and played Division I baseball. And I was angry. I had anger issues, and I didn't know where they stemmed from. And no psychiatrist, no therapist could help me, right? They all wanted to give me medication. I didn't want to do that. Something just told me that's not for me. There's nothing wrong with me. Just something's not right. Something's not right. Something's not clicking. Something's not connecting. And so got out of college in 05 and nobody was hiring. So I went to work at Enterprise Rent-A-Car and I worked my butt off, climbed my way up the corporate ladder, and soon realized that I didn't like working in corporate America. I didn't enjoy watching my boss sit at home playing video games while I was busting my rear end. And crazy enough, a 93-year-old woman drove a PT Cruiser through our front door and shook the whole building to wake me up. Yep, you got that right.
Come on.
Yeah, it's God's honest truth. 93
Holy
years old, a silver PT Cruiser right through the front door. And I looked at my life and I was like, something needs to change.
That's a quantum moment.
Yeah. And at the same time, a police officer, an undercover police officer, locked his keys in his car at the mall. So I had a choice to make, right? I had a choice: go help the police officer or the car in the middle of our lobby. Nobody was hurt, thankfully enough, but that was above my pay grade. So, right, when my supervisor or my boss got there, which he was reluctant to get there, when he took over, I left. Well, it was at that time that the officer convinced me that it was a time for a career change. And so I looked into policing and police work, and I was like, you know what? This is more aligned with who I am. This is more, about giving back and serving a higher purpose and providing, help for those that can't help themselves. So I went into police work, and soon after getting into police work, I also had my first child and got married. And very, very quickly, I realized police work wasn't what I thought it was going to be, right? I walked into a very toxic culture, and I didn't have any of the tools or skills to combat that, right? Not only the toxicity of the outside world, right? People that were breaking our laws, but the toxicity of what that creates inside the department amongst, the men and women and the higher ups. Well, I unfortunately and fortunately now I can say that I went through a pretty intense experience, a civil rights type case where, I had got investigated and interrogated by, criminal defense attorneys on the federal level and was forced to resign from police work when I did absolutely nothing wrong. So that created a whole another wave of checking a box and creating anxiety, depression, PTSD, the whole nine yards. um so now I had two children, and every man wants to provide for their family, and I'm stuck, right? Like I identified with being a police officer and things like that, like most of us do. um and I was thrown out to the wolves. So I went to what a hobby of mine. I went to CrossFit, and something I loved and enjoyed, and I started up a CrossFit gym, and I was still broken the whole entire way. Broken, and it was just one thing piling on top of another. Started my CrossFit gym, things were good, things were great until they no longer were. Until everything from my past just kind of bottled up and came to an explosion. And that explosion happened when um, a divorce kicked into place. And it's a blessing now, but it wasn't then. It was the last thing that I wanted. And knowing what I know now, I would have done everything in my power to prevent it. Um, and I don't wish that upon anyone. Um, but I hit rock bottom. I was suicidal, and I had a choice to make. It was either, you know, swallow a bullet or take a hard ride over a bridge, or to hit my knees and ask for a change. And and that's what I did. And it was painful. It was not easy. And you know, they say when you hit rock bottom and you choose to make a change in your life, that's the hardest and bravest thing you could ever do. Because quite honestly, suicide would have been the easy way out for me. It would have caused a ripple effect into my children, into the people that love me and surround me, one that I wouldn't have to deal with, that would have caused even longer trauma and more trauma. And so hitting rock bottom and making a choice to make that change, not only for myself, but for my children, was literally the hardest thing I had to do. Now, did it get easier? Nope. It got harder because I had to look at myself. I had to go back and I had to dig and scrummage and claw and cry and pray and meditate and journal and cry again and question everything I've done, everything I've been taught, everything I experienced throughout my whole entire life. All the boxes that I put myself in or society put myself in, all the judgment and comparison I put myself through. And this was done without social media. We didn't have social media. I had to go back and I had to look at, is this the life? Is this what life is really all about? And just like I checked all the boxes that said yes to society, all those questions, all those boxes I checked because I wasn't doing it. I was living somebody else's life, somebody else's design, somebody else's plan for me,
Somebody else's narrative.
somebody else's narrative. And I didn't know where to start. And that's where I came back to my faith and my spiritual journey, because I just knew it was something bigger than me. I knew there was something better out there for me. I didn't know what it was, but it was inside here. I knew there was something better for my children. regardless of whether I stayed married or got divorced. And my journey, my 5-year transformational journey started. Guys, transformation, if you're looking to transform, isn't an overnight thing. It's not a microwave success thing. You can't go to a one weekend seminar and just all of a sudden magically change. Does it happen from time to time? 100%. But the average, it doesn't. It takes working with a coach or multiple coaches. It takes commitment. It takes habit and dedication. So I said to myself, where can I surround myself? Where can I surround my children where they won't take in all this toxicity? I went back to church. I got plugged in. I reached out and I got a spiritual life coach that could help me see it from a different perspective. I started interacting and focusing again on my fitness and my health. And I looked at myself. And I pointed at myself before I pointed at anybody else. Because I was a victim. I had the victim mentality. But on the outside, on social media, I had a beautiful life. I was a business owner. I had a 6-pack. I had a wife and 2 kids with a dog and a beautiful home and a nice car. I was miserable. I was dying from the inside out because I lived the be tough, be a man, rub dirt on it, don't share your emotions, don't be vulnerable. I was borderline, if not narcissistic. But again, that wasn't how I was created. And I always felt like I didn't fit in. Well, that 5-year journey was just the beginning of it. Because your life's journey starts, your education starts when you stop looking at everybody and everything else. You stop looking at social media. You stop looking at the news. You stop looking at the vaccine mandates. You stop looking at sports figures or musicians. You stop looking at everything the outside world throws at you. And life starts when you look inside at yourself. And we've all been told this in one shape or another, right? Don't point at someone because there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. That was great, but no one explained how to do it. Right? Makes perfect sense, but how do you do that? Well, thank you, pandemic, and all these wonderful coaches in this world, and everybody hopefully looked at themselves. And that's when the journey of life starts. Some find it sooner, some find it later. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you find it. What matters is that you find what your true nature is. Because it took a lot of pain for me to find it. And it took my children to be my greatest coach. Because they pointed out every flaw I had. I was just willing enough to look in the mirror and address it from inside me to change my life. And I did. And I did. And that's available to every single one of us, regardless of your upbringing, regardless of your parents, regardless of the experiences that you've had. It's your choice on how you live this world, what lens you want to look at it through. If you like gray hair, great. But that doesn't make me any better or worse than somebody who's bald. High speed, low drag, baby. Right? Smooth and silky. Because there's no one perfect way to do it. But in the end, I had to become my own best friend. I had to find who I was created to be. And now I get to show up into the world the best version of myself. Do I fall short? Am I perfect? No way. But at least I now know when I'm falling short and I can correct it. But I'm creating my life from the inside out. I'm not reacting or responding from the outside in.
I want to read you something that I really hope touches your heart and those listening today. It's a quote that I always use. One of my favorite books, Jonathan, is a little short, tiny book, 100 and some odd pages long, called Simple Truths, written by a guy named Kent Nurburn. Kent Nurburn explains that what we should think of work that we should think of work as a vocation, which comes from the Latin word for calling, which comes from the word voice. When you look at it like this, work should be something that calls to you, that gives you voice to who you are and what you want to say in this world.
Beautiful. Because our words either add life or death. And you don't have, without a voice, we don't hear words. Outside of language, there's nothing. Think about that. Outside of language, there's nothing. So what comes out of our mouth, the words that come out of our mouth in form of vibration or voice, you're either creating a life of love, joy, peace, hope, or you're creating a life of fear, doubt, shame, grief.
There's a friend. I don't know if she's here today in the show. I think her handle's Evil Ginger. We were talking yesterday about this because I mentioned the book The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, that I thought that it would be something, and you're touching upon these things, the importance of language and the energy that it carries. And I'm grateful, Jonathan, that you're sharing this. I mean, my God, we're not even, we're just over 30 minutes in, and it's like, holy shit, there's a lot to unpack here already. I have a million questions about, like how, like I don't even know how to put it all together yet. There's so many thoughts, but let's go back. You're a Division I baseball player. I mean, that's pretty intense, bro. It really doesn't get much higher. The next step is what? The NLB or whatever it's called.
I mean, you go into minor league ball and you go into pro ball. Yeah.
Right?
But they say Division I ball is the equivalent to AA. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a full-time job.
Yeah, you're doing this for a living.
Yeah. 100% on top.
And so tell me what happened with that. Like in the end, it was it just that was enough? You did it, done?
Oh, I got
done that.
Yeah, I got burnt out. I loved the game. I was extremely knowledgeable about the game. I mean, I've been a coach my whole life, right? I just didn't know it. But the way my dad acted and the way my dad showed up in these sporting, settings was a hindrance on me, right? My dad was the one that was always running his mouth in the stands, right? And all the dads would be going over to my dad and kind of poking the bear, and my dad would run his mouth. And the backlash in colleges that came out on me, right? And he thought he was trying to help, but he wasn't. And even when I tried to ask him to stop, he wouldn't. Because I grew up in an old school Italian family where you just do what I say, not what I do type idea. And you don't have a voice, right? And just because you're older than me, or you're my father, or you're my uncle, that I'm supposed to respect you. Boy, did that play out in my life in a way that I wouldn't even imagine. Because here I am at 40 now, and I just told you my greatest coaches were my children. They're 7 and 10. So they've been coaching me for 10 years. But I was raised that because I'm older, I'm supposed to be more wise.
That's
Wisdom
bullshit.
doesn't come with age, my friend.
Not in a lot of cases, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
there are cases where people who are, living their life, living their passions, forging their own path in life, they go through a lot of hardships. That's why I respect the journey of the entrepreneur.
well, and you're talking intentionality now, right?
Correct.
You're talking intentionality.
Correct.
So when you're living on purpose and you're living in intention, that wisdom is going to escalate. If you do that and you also go back to who you were created to be and you go down a spiritual path and you unveil your wisdom from throughout your life, if you believe in lifetimes, now you've got a double-edged sword. Now you've got the best of both worlds. You've got human wisdom and spiritual wisdom, and that's the journey. That
Let
was
me
the transformation for me.
let me ask you this question, Jonathan, because I really want to bring up one of our guests on the show, Evil Ginger, because we spoke about it yesterday. And I gave her the example that Michael Singer gives in his book about what was, can you give some insight into, you have this thing called the monkey brain, and it chats at you all the time. And when you go through some sort of depression or some sort of dark time, like, you've explained, how did you shut off the voice? What did you do, Jonathan?
Okay, so first I didn't shut off the voice. Okay? I did not shut off the voice. If you try to shut off that voice, you're blocking it out, right? You're shoving it down. You're discrediting it. Your voice, your feelings, your thoughts, they're there for a reason. You have to acknowledge it. You have to recognize it. Okay? But what you have to do is you have to take it captive and catch it. So whatever that voice is, right? If it's a voice of I'm not good enough, you have to take that captive and really look at it and ask yourself, is this true? Am I not good enough? Why would I think this? Is that how I was created to be? And in the Bible, it says you can take captive your thoughts and make it obedient to the Lord. Well, I don't care what higher power you believe in. God, creator, universe, source, energy, whatever. You were created for a reason. And that reason is based in love. And if that thought of I'm not worthy pops into your head and you take it captive and you ask yourself, is this aligned with love? The answer is no. So that voice, I would tell it to shut up. And I would give it a little, that simple, right? That voice would pop up because I knew that wasn't the voice of who I am. So that little noise for me was telling that voice to shut up. But when I got home, I got out a journal and I would write about it. And I would let all my emotions, all my feelings, I would get as vulnerable as humanly possible on a piece of paper. And then I would light it on fire. I would write out all the things that made me, quote unquote, unworthy. And I would look at it and I would make it obedient to the truth. And then I would set it on fire and release it. Because if you're holding something on the inside, it's burning. We're called to be the salt and light of the world. There's a light inside of you. It's burning. It's either burning. Again, you have a choice. It's burning with negativity or it's burning with positivity. It's burning with fear, doubt, shame, or it's burning with love, hope, peace, joy. What flame do you have burning inside of you? If it's not the right flame, do the work. Get it out. You can get it out verbally. You can get it out by writing. If you're one of those guys or gals that don't believe in talk therapy, don't go. But don't do nothing. Write it down on a piece of paper. I think it was Shrek. Better out than in, I always said, right? Who knew Shrek was so wise? Pretty sure he wasn't talking about this, but nonetheless, let's apply it here.
That's right.
How about Queen Elsa in Disney? Let it go. Okay, so let it go. That sounds great, grand, and wonderful. How do we do that? Well, I get my kids to let go of their crap by putting on a blonde wig and dancing around like a buffoon, singing Let It Go. And before not, they start laughing and it's been let go. Right? So I don't care how you do it, just don't carry it. And that's what we do as a society. We carry this pain and this trauma and this hurt, and it just piles and piles and piles until it gets acted out in a negative way, whether it be, verbally abusive, physically abusive, whether you're yelling at a coworker or you've got road rage or you're fighting with your wife or you're a police officer and you have excessive use of force, or you've got sarcasm, right? Sarcasm is just the cover up. It ain't no better than being an alcoholic or a druggie. Nor is anger. Addiction is addiction. Nor is porn. Done them all, guys. Done them all. I was broken. But there was nothing wrong with me. I just wasn't operating out of a place of love and who I was created to be. That's it. And that's available to all of us. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Where do you want to start? How do you want to show up in the world? What impact do you want to make? What is your foundation? I went back to my foundation.
How'd you go back? What did you do? What were you thinking about? What was your foundation?
Well, my foundation, I was raised Catholic, right? So my foundation was to go to the Bible. And that's where I started. And I questioned everything in the Bible. Everything. Because I believe God wants you to question. Because then you can come up with your own truth for yourself, or your truth for yourself, not your own truth. I apologize. You can come up with the truth for yourself by asking questions, not by listening to Fox or CNN. And that's where I went. And I constantly went back to that well. But I started by recognizing all the things in my life that I didn't like about myself or that I didn't want around me. And I took a piece of paper, and this is what I did. I took a piece of paper and I wrote my name down in the middle of it. And I drew a big circle around it. And my question to myself was, out of all those things that I've written down that I don't like, what is in my control and what is not? And anything I could control, I put inside the circle. And anything I couldn't control, I put on the outside of the circle. And everything on the outside of that circle, because I couldn't have any control over it, guess what I did? I eliminated it. Bye. See ya. If my ex-wife is angry because of something somebody else did, that's her issue, not mine. Dr. Wayne Dyer. Oh, man, I can't wait to meet him one day. He's no longer with us, but he has a quote that changed my life. And that quote goes, "What somebody else thinks about me is none of my business." And that's exactly what everything in the outside of that circle was. It was what somebody else was saying or thinking. And it didn't matter to me. So I eliminated all that. And then I went one by one and I addressed every single one of those things inside that circle. And sometimes they got eliminated and then they popped back up, right?
Yeah.
And I had to address it again. But pay attention, because whatever the outside world continues to give back to you, it's a sign that it's ready to heal. So, my whole life, you're angry, you're angry, you're angry. At some point, I was like, hell, I might as well just be angry. Right? And so, no. And when I kept getting that, I finally changed and said, I don't want to be this anymore. And I remember a very distinct story, because everybody could tell that I was a cop. And I always questioned, right? How do they know I'm a cop? Like, how do I give off that vibration? Well, it's because that's how I was carrying myself. I was carrying myself in anger. And then I addressed that anger. And then I started getting, are you a pastor? I was like, what? Where'd that come from? Are you a pastor? And at that time, again, paying attention to the outside world, I realized that I changed my vibration.
Yep.
I changed who I was living from the inside out. I was no longer attracting that angry person or that angry motif. I was now attracting someone looking for guidance and enlightenment and wisdom. And I'll never forget it, because I had one of my blocks was, I don't want to be a cop, right? The stigma of a cop. People used to say it all the time. Oh, you must have been a cop. Even after I was out. I'll never forget it. I went to a Oprah Winfrey Weight Watchers event down in Miami with my brother and sister. And there was an incident in the front, and this was when I was going through my process, and a woman at the lunchtime came and sat in seats that weren't hers. And she started having an attitude. And I was just sitting there saying, you know what? This isn't your fight. This is outside your circle. You don't have to get involved like you would have in the past. And it got to the point where it was getting out of control. And I stepped in and I very politely, started communicating. And the first thing out of the woman's mouth was, what are you, a cop? And I was like, man, here we go again, right? Like, I'm trying to run away from this. But because I did the work, what I realized was I was presenting myself as a person of authority, as a person of decision making and getting something accomplished. It had nothing to do with the societal stigma of police. It had everything to do with I had a presence. And when I flipped the switch into that dynamic, my life's changed. One of many other ways, right? I have a bunch of those light switch, those aha moments, those light bulbs going off. And they all build upon each other.
So what happened, Jonathan, just because I want to follow the storyline, you play baseball, you go up, after you played and after you finished college, did you go right into policing?
No. I went to Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and then I went into police work. Yeah. So, and it was a blessing. It was a blessing because Enterprise taught me how to communicate. Enterprise taught me how to, the term, in police work now is de-escalate the situation. Because let's be honest, you get into a car accident, right? You don't yell at the insurance company. They're the ones paying for your repair and their rental car. You don't yell at the body shop guy because they're the one doing the repair. So who got the short end of the stick? The poor college kid, right? that was working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car in a shirt and tie, just trying to make ends meet, right? So we got judged and we got promoted based off of our customer service along with our sales. So we really quickly had to learn how not to personalize anything, right? and how to de-escalate a situation, because we were trained that it wasn't about us. It was the fact that, they're frustrated they don't have their car,
Of course.
right? And so
Shout out to my boy Titus Sears at Enterprise Car Rentals.
so that projected me was a building block for me to go into police work. Is really what it is. When I look back at my life, everything was a building block. Everything was a learning experience when I chose to look at it from that point of view. Because when I went into police work, literally the first time I stepped out of the car in uniform, one of my car preps was right there. We were at a big block party. It was probably 400 people, and he was the first guy there. Now, I can't explain that except for God, right? And he literally walked me around the whole entire hood and introduced me to everybody. And from that point on, I was known as Sean's boy. And I had instant street cred because I had respect from Sean, and Sean had respect from the streets. It was pretty cool. It was pretty powerful. I didn't realize it then. But so yeah, so I got out of college, enterprise rent a car, police work.
And how many years did you stay a police officer?
I was just shy of 5 years. Just shy of 5 years. Yep. I was on SWAT for about 6 months. Was officer of the year before I got forced out. I loved it. It was fun. But I was doing it for all the right reasons, right? I was doing it because I wanted to help and I wanted to give back to those that couldn't help themselves at times.
Yeah.
Much like a coach, right? Much like a coach.
You heard it here on the Coffee and Biscotti show. Get yourself a coach. I know a guy. So, Jonathan, you have this life-changing experience in the police force, and you're forced to resign. What happens after that?
Oh man, it was dark. It was isolation. It was PTSD. Every time I heard a knock on the door, I thought I was going to get arrested. I faced possible federal charges for something I didn't do. I was innocent and had to prove I was innocent, but they already had me guilty. So I had to prove my innocence, right? And quite honestly, I didn't know how to operate. I didn't know how to bring who to go to, where to turn. My department wasn't going to help me, right? Because it came from the chief. I wasn't going to bring it home to my wife and my kids because I didn't want to hurt them. But that honestly just ended up doing more damage because I didn't have the skills and the tools that a couple of the ones that we just talked about previously. Right. So I was even more angry, more bitter, more sarcastic. I was isolated. I was shut down. I was closed off. I was numb. I was burnt out. It was scary. It was a really scary place. But again, be tough, right? Be a man.
Of course. Suck it up.
Suck it up. Don't show your emotions. That's weakness. Yeah. And all that did, that fire was building and building and building inside of me.
So you go through this dark time and then you go back to something that you love, which is CrossFit.
Yeah.
So you go into CrossFit, and not only did you practice and sort of, exercise the CrossFit sort of routines, but you decide and you go and open up a gym.
Yeah. Dumbest thing I ever did.
Tell me why. Why?
Yeah. Well, one, I wasn't in the right state of mind, right? But again, it goes back to I wanted to help people, right? And so being able to help someone physically and nutrition wise, right? That was my mindset. That was my thought process, right? And go back and use this skill set that I have. And so I opened up a gym, and it was fun. It was an expensive hobby. I was a slave to it. There's a difference between being a business owner and owning a business, right? A business owner, you actually, own it. It doesn't own you. If you're a business owner, the business owns you. And that's exactly what it was. I was up at 4 o'clock and I didn't get home till 9 o'clock, you know? And,
Yep,
but I
I
got
know.
in, yeah, but I got into it because I wanted to help others transform.
Right.
And again, just like the rental car company, just like police work, and just like, the gym, I learned something every single step of the way. And it was fun. I got to wear gym clothes every day, you know, and I got to make my own schedule to an extent, and I got to create something. It created it brought out the creative vibes within me. And I started dreaming again. I started visioning things again. I started, seeing what type of world I wanted to create, even though I had no direction, I had no structure, I had no, I was still broken, honestly.
Okay, so you open up this business, you have some success with this CrossFit business. And is it what happened was COVID hit after that?
No, divorce,
Divorce.
divorce.
There it is.
Yep. And that was the pinnacle of the transformation. That was when I literally made that choice, suicide or change. And it was terrible. It was the worst experience of my life, and I've been through some crappy ones. And I had everything in the past come at me and get thrown at me in multiple ways.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, right? It was what it was. I had to shut down the gym because of it, and it was became very litigious and very, money driven. But that was also the time that I went back to school to get my master's degree in psychology, and that's when I made the decision to figure out what this thing called life is all about. So the divorce was what projected me down this new journey, this new path, this enlightenment, I guess you could say. It's kind of funny because it was really ugly and really dark, but I don't even remember it that way because I found the blessing in every single one of them. Every single step of the way, there was a blessing, there was a lesson, there was clarity, right? When you choose to look at it.
So you go through this, and I can really relate because I'm on two. This is going to be my second, and this one happened, of course, in the midst of a pandemic. When 2 days later I got let go of being a director of Thai boxing for a new gym here in Ottawa. So I feel you. I definitely resonate with that energy and with the idea of I said this to Josh the other day. I said, I was talking to a few buddies, and I said, man, if I didn't have bad luck in 2021, I wouldn't have had any luck. And it was like that. That's what it felt like. And then 2022 hit, and I really felt this shift of energy. You know, I was doing what I love. Josh pushed me to do these vision boards workshops with a dear friend of ours who helped Chris Barnett, who was a big TikTok influencer, and I I just feel I feel, Jonathan, the shift, and I feel how as humans we usually have to let something traumatic happen first before we decide to make that change. That usually there's something difficult that happens before we make a change. But how nice it would be at some point throughout our lives that we just get it through understanding a challenging time without calling it something happened to me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Without the victim attitude.
Well, and that's where you providing someone's story can do that, right? Your story is medicine for somebody else. So do you have to hit rock bottom to make this change? Absolutely not, right? Tough times don't last, tough people do. Blessings flow through you, not to you, right? So if you're out there and you're struggling or you're about to hit rock bottom, right? There's faith, there's hope, because I've done it, you've done it. There's a lot of people that have done it.
Yeah.
But if you're out there and you think that, you got it pretty good and you're trying not to and you're trying to not downplay like the fact that there's other people out in this world that have it much worse than we do, that is the case. But if you choose to look at yourself, given right where you're at, you don't have to hit rock bottom. You can start right now, today, wherever you're at, and living and creating the life that you want, because there has been an energy shift. There has been. And now we have this technology, and now we have these coaches and the people that can see the benefit of doing this, and that you don't have to go to a brick and mortar. You don't have to go to, a priest and tell him your sins, right? That's not how it was created. So you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait. Don't wait. Start right now.
Start right now.
You get a
Absolutely.
piece of paper and a pen. You sit in quiet, right? And so, I like to shift because, yeah, my past was my past, but that doesn't define me, right? My past is in the past because I've chosen to let it go. I've chosen to put it back there and not carry it any longer. And I start my day new every single day. And man, what a world. What a world that you could experience by working with a coach or by just getting plugged in. Because people ask me, John, what's your life like now? And my answer to them is the greens are greener and the water is wetter. What the hell does that mean? Guys, I'm present. I experience life in the now. And when I'm in the water, I experience being in that water and what it feels like. I'm not worried about 50 million other things. I'm not worried about what's going on in Russia. Am I aware of it? Like you said in the intro, yeah, I'm aware of it, but I'm aware of it under my control and my creativity when I allow that into my life. I don't operate in that. And that's how I was before. I operate in the present.
Well,
I operate in love. I have that foundation that I operate from every single day.
yeah. And what a perfect segue into that switch, into that transition. So now the CrossFit gym is gone. And now, is this where we start the story of what you founded in 2021?
Yeah, that's when my life started. Absolutely. Right.
The Blue Guardian Network.
That's it.
So it's perfect. I mean, what a beautiful flow. Let's talk about all this stuff. Let's talk about the journey. Now let's talk about present. And I use this one all the time, Jonathan. I don't know if you ever heard this, but I use this all the time. I always say, isn't it ironic that the word present is something that you give to someone on their birthday or a special occasion, but it also happens to mean to represent the here and the now. So some might argue that that's the gift from God, is the present.
Not going to get argument from me.
So the question that I have for you now is that let's go. Let's get into that space, that positive space. You decide to do something called the Blue Guardian Network. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So Blue Guardian Network empowers officer to find peace inside the uniform. And what we believe is by transforming our men and women in uniform, there will be a ripple effect out into the world. And it all starts from within. It starts from looking at each and every officer as a human and developing them and healing them and leading them the way that we're designed to be led, not based off of what society has created. Because let's be honest, we've been doing that and it's failed.
Yep.
Period. So I'm tired. I got to a point where I was tired of seeing the same stuff get a new wrapping or a new bow put on it or another band-aid put over the same wound and a new branding or marketing scheme. And I had enough. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to leave this world the same way that I got it. I'm not going to leave this world, especially our police departments and our police officers, the same way to my children and my grandchildren. And it's just the police officer that I've chosen to work with because of my experience. They're no better or worse than anyone else. But what I do know is our police officers are the ones that are putting themselves in harm's way every single day in and day out. And if you're man or woman enough to put on a uniform and stand in front of a bullet for somebody else, regardless of whether they're a law-abiding citizen or not, you've got my 100% support. You've got me whenever you need me to help you and to support you and to serve you, because no one's serving them. And what I created is what I wish I had when I needed it. And that's just simply it.
Of course.
When
What a perfect way.
there's a quote, I forget who said it, but it goes like this. It goes, when the student is ready,
The teacher
the
will
teacher
appear.
will appear.
I use it all the time.
And when the student is prepared, what happens to the teacher? It goes away. Because my job as a coach, my job as a mentor, my job as a leader is to develop you to take my place, to fill my shoes.
Right.
I'm no better. If you've got more wisdom, or if you look, go for it. Right? You can pass your coaches. You can pass me. Pass me. Work with me and pass me. Create something bigger and better than what I've created or what that's been given to me. Please. And I will help you every step of the way. And when you do that, you're living. You're living.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to see, not only for police officers, but for everybody. Right?
So what's involved? So how does this work? Is it like, for example, Jonathan, are you coaching them? What are some of the things that you're doing working with the men and women in blue?
Yeah, so we have a 3-tiered approach, and it's a very holistic way of looking at it. So there's a mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical side to all of it, everything that we do. But what we've noticed is if you're struggling, right? If you're out in the middle of a storm, or if those voices are really, really loud, right? You're not open to receive anything, right? Because those voices are too loud, or that storm is too crazy. So we've teamed up with a clinical doctor. Her name's Dr. Royster. She's trained in 19 different modalities, from hypnosis to TRIP to CBT, you name it. Because again, there's no one size fits all way of doing this. So if you're struggling, and most addiction, if not all addiction, is based in trauma. So this could be, trauma from experience. This could be trauma from your childhood, could be from war. We want you to get clear of that storm. We want that storm to go down. We want that anxiety to stop. We want those voices to be controlled. And so what Dr. Royster does is she takes you through, a procedure, basically, based off of what you present, and we get you to that point. That's when the work starts. Too many of these suicide prevention groups, right? They get you to this point, and then what happens? You're out there to fend for yourself. And we said, nope, that can't happen. So then that comes into the personal development side of it, where we do a series of classrooms and workshops along with coaching. So we take these men and women that are in uniform, and with others that have either been in uniform or are still in uniform, and we bring them through these courses to develop them as a human being. And we give them the tools and the skills to apply at home and to apply in uniform. But we don't just give it to them in a classroom setting and then let them go. We then coach them and say, okay, how are you practically applying this in life? Right? Because that's what ultimately what we want you to do. And then there's the leadership side of it, right? There's, okay, just because you're a leader doesn't mean you know how to lead people, right? So it's a whole nother educational wisdom platform that not only helps you find who you are and who you're created to be, but it helps you help others do that as well within the policing world. But it gets even better, right? It gets even
Absolutely.
better. It gets even better because this isn't a one-time one thing meets all. No, this is a platform that you'll be able to come to as an officer or as the spouse or family member of an officer, and you will get continued education throughout your life, throughout your career. I don't care if it's work related or not. It's actually more non-work related. So we have a program for the spouses to understand what their significant others go through and a support system for them, right? Our network is a support system for police officers from across the country, across the world. So you're in Ottawa, you're a cop, you're struggling, right? You don't want to go to the systems that have been created. You jump on a Blue Guardian network and you connect with John down in Florida. Me and you can be one-on-one, peer-to-peer, coach, whatever. I can't take your badge and your gun away from you, but I can work and I can walk through life with you, right? And help you out. So there's multiple avenues and there's so many moving parts to this organization because it's that dynamic, it's that polarized right now, and it needs that much healing. But we are focused on the officer specifically and getting them back to who they were created to be.
And like you said, I mean, it's not a one size fits all kind of healing process. So having multiple, being dynamic and understanding various healing modalities also helps in sort of handling whatever comes your way as an organization.
Right. Like, come on, people, like, get open-minded, right? Stop being such control freaks and stop putting labels and putting everything into a box, right? Like, I got divorced, right? I'm not a divorced man. I'm a man. I just happen to get divorced. I don't identify with that, right? And so this is what I tell a lot of people, and this is how I coach. What's your favorite meal?
Pizza.
Pizza. Great. Who doesn't like pizza, right? I
I
love
can't be
pizza.
your friend if you're not.
Right, right? I love pizza, right? I don't care what you put on it. And we're not going to get in this debate, but if you want to put pineapple on your pizza, have at it, right?
Yeah,
Again, completely up to you. Who am I to
yeah.
judge, right? I like Chinese food, okay? They're both nourishing your body. They're both giving you fuel, but they come in two totally different forms with totally different ingredients at times. So are we sitting here and saying Chinese food is better than Italian food or German food? No. So why do we do that with everything else in our life? Why do we do that with sin? Why do we do that why do we put levels of severity, based in religion, that one religion is better than another? Or one program is better than another? I don't believe in that. I don't believe there's one perfect way to do anything.
I just want to welcome Evil Ginger to the show. Evil Ginger, we've been talking about you throughout the course of the show. I know that you signed in late, but I hope that you'll have a chance to look at this show, because I think that with some of our conversations that we've had, there's going to be a lot for you here in the show. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you, Jonathan. So now the question is, Jonathan, what's the mission with this? What's the goal? What's the vision of the Blue Guardian Network, and what steps now are you taking? Like, what's involved in sort of making this big? Can this be a sort of a global thing? Is that the mission? Is that the dream?
Absolutely. This is to create the new standard of mental health for police officers and first responders. Right? This is being proactive, the proactive approach that policing is needed. that no one's been able to figure out. This is focusing on the human element of the officer, not the practical application of the job. And so we're looking to create the new standard for all police officers and all police departments if they're willing to go down the path. It's going to be hard. It's a change, it's a transformation,
Yeah.
but it's one that's needed, right?
100%.
100%.
1,000,000%. Listen, I remember teaching down at the defensive tactics unit that they had in one of the divisions here, and I've been very blessed. I've taught all sorts of officers in a variety of divisions. From what we would call ETF, which is sort of our kind of SWAT.
Yep.
Guns and gangs, drug squad, rope. A major crime. I've had a representative in terms of a policeman come from all sorts of these divisions, and what was interesting is that they kind of all made comments about what they were learning for the 2 weeks defensive tactics course that they had in 1 year. They were basically given 2 weeks.
Yeah, and here's the deal, right? I'm not saying that what our police officers is getting is wrong or bad.
No,
I love the defensive tactics, the active shooter training. They've nailed it. It's spot on. What I'm saying is work with us hand and foot. Let us come in, work side by side with you, and let us take the burden of the mental health off of your shoulders as a police department. Help us create that division of church and state if you must, right? Because you have your hands full with that practical application of it.
Right.
100%, right? I've never done Muay Thai in my life. I am not going to go out and pretend like I'm a Muay Thai expert, right? But I'm going to surround myself with the people that are if I choose to want to learn Muay Thai, which that's what our department should be trained in. Just saying. The art of staying on your feet, not the art of fighting on your back. Again, proactive versus reactive.
Yeah.
So that's what we're saying. We're saying, hey, let's team up. Let's do this side by side. Let's increase the value of what you're offering to your police officers. Because when you do that, the ripple effect out into the community, you can't measure. You just can't. And that same thing goes true. It's not even out into your community. If you do this work, it goes into your relationships as with your children, with your spouse, with your family members, with your business partners, right? There's a ripple effect on how you interact on the highway, or how you treat the barista, or the person at the grocery store.
Of course.
The goal is to embody this and own it, because when you do this, and this, it's priceless. You can't put a dollar amount on it.
No.
You can't put it inside a mansion and it's or attach it to a bank account or a car or a material item. When you do this work and you go through this journey and you embrace it, right? And you embody it, it's yours and yours to keep forever. And it's already inside of you. You just have to discover it. And nobody can take it away from you unless you give it to them.
Yeah, and what I love about that, Jonathan, is that it sort of reminds me of that passage again in the Bible that talks about it. If you want more friends, be a friend. If you want more love, then give love. So if you're going to give this out to people, if you're going to teach this stuff, then it's not just about the police. It's about how to use the tools that they're receiving and applying it to every aspect of their life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes 100% sense to me.
Right. I mean, it's not rocket science, right? I'm not this smart. I've just chosen to question it, right? Read the Bhagavad Gita. What an amazing book. And all it is it's a conversation between God and a warrior about to go into a civil war, where he's about to fight his brothers and sisters, an actual physical war. We're all in that war right now. It's a war within ourselves. So
course.
you don't believe in the Bible? No worries. Go read any spiritual text because the foundations are exactly the same.
100%.
I don't care. Like, I'm not here to argue and fight theologians and anything like that. But sometimes it gets so so intense and so like theological that it gets clouded, it gets muddy. Right? It's very simple. Don't complicate it. What's the old saying? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, of
Right?
course.
Yes. Keep it simply spiritual.
I love it. Josh, KISS. Keep it simply spiritual. Holy shit. I'm going to use that one, Jonathan. I'll
You
give you
got it,
credit,
brother.
though.
That's all good. I don't have credit. It's all from you know who.
Yeah, man.
So, but yeah, that's ultimately it, right? You're in this battle. It's your life. You are the only one that gets to choose what happens and
Yeah, of
create what
course.
happens.
Yep.
You only get it once. I would like everybody to become their own best friend,
Me too.
right? How many times have we asked ourselves for a refund? How many times have you asked yourself for a refund where you messed up? We want everybody else to give us refunds when they make a mistake, but we don't do it for ourselves. If you need a refund, cash it in. Start over. Get connected. Join a group. Find a coach.
Yeah, it's important.
It is.
It's
We're
so
not
important.
designed to do this life alone.
No, man. I mean, I always talk about, Josh and Putty Nation here, who helps me with moderating the show, Jonathan. And, I've been saying this for, I don't know for how many months now, but I always said, man, thank God I have a Josh Leslie in my life, because I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without his help and without his belief. Um, you know, in me, because he believes in me. He believes in what I'm doing. He believes in the message. He believes in this show. He believes in the fact that we've created a space for people like you, Jonathan, can come and just go wild on dropping these bombs of wisdom and knowledge and spirituality, so that someone would hear this and go, yeah, I'm feeling like I'm at rock bottom, but listening to this, I've received some motivation. You know, that old axiom, like you said, when the student is ready, the teacher is here. Hermes Trismegistus in the Kabbalion talks about another one. When the something about when the ear is open, something will be there to fill it, or something positive will be there to fill it. And so I'm grateful, because we really can't do this alone, and it takes some really great people. And I'm just, again, super grateful that you are doing this work, because I feel, after spending almost 90 minutes with you, believe it or not, already.
That went quick.
Isn't it amazing? Holy
That
shit,
went
it's
quick.
almost 90 minutes. Um, but that you're doing this work, and all I can say, bro, is that as I hold my crystals in my hand, and as I sit here quietly listening to you, energetically, I feel you're exactly where you need to be, and doing exactly what you need to be doing.
One of my spiritual coaches says, you're right where you need to be. You're not early, you're not late, you're right on time. And that's present.
Yeah.
Guys, what you feed grows. Simple as that. What you feed grows. If you're feeding fear, it'll grow. If you feed love, that'll grow.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for doing this work and presenting this platform. It's not for everybody. People are going to listen to this and they can think I'm crazy. But again, thank you, Dr. Dyer. What somebody else thinks about me is none of my business,
Of course.
because I love my life and I know what I'm doing is creating a better world. And I hope that everybody is doing the same thing, because it's not about me. It's not about me. Healing is about me. Once you get healed, you then get to provide it to the we. And when you get to
That's
bring
right.
that out into the world.
Wow,
So
you should say.
when you get that shift, when you get that transformation of me to we, it's a whole nother journey. It's a whole nother game,
Of course.
you know?
You've heard the expression, I'm sure. It was one that I used in martial arts all the time, and I know that I've said it on the show before. A master is not recognized by what he or she knows, but rather how many masters he or she creates.
Right. And how do you become a master? You don't do one punch. What is it? You don't do one punch 1,000 times or 10,000 times. You do 10 or you don't do 10,000 punches one time. You do one punch 10,000 times, right?
Bruce Lee, you're not the man who practiced 10,000 kicks one time, but the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times.
Thank you. Thank you. Right? Nailed it. Perfect. Yep. I want to be that guy, because it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's not a microwave society.
No.
If you're caught up in that, get out. Get out. Limit yourself. Right? Put some boundaries around the time you spend on a screen, or around negative music or anything.
Yeah. And you know, Jonathan, at the moment, I just completed on Wednesday week number 2 of 9 with 6 people who are doing vision boarding with me. And I got an opportunity, just a wonderful experience of sitting in a room with 6 people who are coming to present their health and wellness board. And the way that each of them did it in a different way. And what's most amazing about it is I just watch every week as the energy within them starts to shift. It's amazing at how slowly but surely there's more. We're using Voxer, this app for the communication, and there's more messages coming through. More people are starting to connect with each other. People are starting to let their guard down and open up and be vulnerable. And I said to everybody, man, you give this 9 weeks and watch how, even if it's the littlest of change, it's going to blossom into something that's going to be positive and beautiful for your life.
Yeah. And celebrate it.
And celebrate it.
Celebrate the small things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Celebrate the small things. Because if you can't celebrate the small things, then how are you going to celebrate the big ones? Because the big ones come from a series of small ones.
100%. Small stepping stones make the dream come true.
Look, success and failure are the same thing. Success and failure are small steps that, for success, right, you've continued to grow. Failure, you hit a roadblock and you go back to the beginning, and then you take those same exact steps. Either way, success or failure, you have to take small steps. And I don't believe that there's any such thing as failure, as long as you're learning from it. Because that's how I've gotten to where I'm at. Everything that people would say was a failure have been a complete success. My divorce was a success. My failure of police work and leaving was a success, right? They thought that they were attacking me or putting me down. Little did they know that they were actually planting a seed.
Yeah. And here you
Watch
are.
out. Watch out.
Watch out.
You are a powerful being. All of us are powerful.
Yeah.
We were here. You are the only you that is in existence. And you're powerful. You're amazing. You're beautiful. I love you. And I want you to find and live this world from a place of love and abundance, just like I do.
Amen, brother. Absolutely beautiful. What a way to finish. Wow. That's the rear uppercut, left hook, right straight combo to finish. I got to tell you, I've stayed quiet a lot for 90 minutes because I've been listening to you. And I'll tell you why I stayed quiet, because there was no need to add anything. You said it the way that it needed to be said.
Well, thank you.
So thank you, Jonathan. I mean, just absolutely amazing. I think we're going to have part two of this. I think we'll have to do another session together, because I just love where this is going. In fact, Josh and Putin Nation has said I should be doing this on another day where people come in and ask questions, and
Let's
sort
do
of
it.
doing some work online and having people come into the chat, write the questions, and saying, what would you say to this, how could you answer this question. And I know there's another Twitch streamer, her name is Jennifer. She does a lot of this kind of work as well. um, I think it's super super great. And again, I'm super grateful, Jonathan.
Thank you. Let's do it. Then you know what? Bring in the feminine energy, because
Yeah,
we all have both masculine and feminine energies,
correct, we
right?
do.
I mean,
Correct, we
I
do.
studied more of the feminine side of it because that's what I lacked,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So you say the time and place, and I'm there. You got me.
That's
I'm
awesome,
in.
brother.
Let's do it.
Well, thank you, my friend. I just want to sort of reach out, Josh. A lot of the stream bots didn't go through today for some reason. I don't know what happened, but is it Blue Guardian? Is there a website, Josh? Blue Guardian Network, Jonathan? Blue Guardian Network.
Yeah, it's under construction right now. BlueGuardianNetwork.org. We're on Facebook, Instagram, um, LinkedIn. If you want to reach out to me, that's the best way to do it. I really
LinkedIn.
operate under the LinkedIn profile, my
Okay.
first and last name. You can find me. And even if it's not related to police work, if you just want to, talk or pick my brain or make an introduction and anything like that, please reach out. I'm happy to connect and help anybody in any way, shape, or form.
Awesome. Thank you. My friend, I'm going to put you into the green room as I spend the last few minutes giving my final thoughts of the day. But again, from my heart to yours, brother, I'm so grateful you're in my life. I'm honored to call you a friend. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Here we go. Boom! That was the word that Josh put in the chat. Boom. My friends, I don't care if you're a doctor, a lawyer, accountant, or the person that serves coffee at the drive-through window. Everything that you heard today on this show is exactly the sentiments that I share with my friends, my family, with my clients. This is about you searching your life and living your narrative, not somebody else's. It's kind of funny because we've had Albert Wong, CA, decides to get out of it. Paul Newton, doctor of chiropractic, was on with us last week, got out of being a chiropractor. Today, Jonathan Galui, police officer, gets out of it. There's a reason, guys. There's a reason. There's a reason why on this show we're talking about transformation. Because the people that are here are transforming their lives. They may have studied for years, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, to get that kind of education. And then with time, it eats at their soul and eats at their soul. And then they say, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I need to go and seek out my purpose, seek out what I love to do, because hell is not a place, but rather a moving away from the soul's desires. So go after what your soul is screaming to tell you. Be silent, because there's knowledge in the silence. Grateful to have Jonathan Galui here with us today, Blue Guardian Network founder and CEO. Grateful to him for spending time with us today. Next week on the Coffee and Biscotti Show, we're looking at Vinny Capacetti. I don't know if it's going to happen. COVID throwing a wrench into some things, but maybe you'll be surprised at who it is. Maybe you'll just have to be here next week at the same time, 12 p.m. EST. Mr. Poutine Nation, where are we rating our guest today, my friend? Talk to me, baby. Maybe it's going to be some DJ or some musical talent today to fill the rest of your afternoon with the soothing sounds. Oh, there we go. See, the soothing sounds of DJ Candyman UK to join the party for Funklectic number 83. There you have it, my friends. We are off to see DJ Candyman. Stick around for the live show and join me next week. From all of us here at the Coffee and Biscotti Show, from my heart to yours, have yourselves an awesome Friday and an even more awesome weekend. Much love, everybody. This is Crew Mel signing off. Another wonderful week at the Coffee and Biscotti Show. Peace out.